Okay, next we have a very interesting tweet from Reese Sullivan, who formerly worked at Vercel and also before then worked at Microsoft, but has now been poached by OpenCode and is working there. And he has an interesting tweet where he says, skills solve the agent knowledge problem at the wrong level of the stack, and I'm hoping that it's not too late to undo the damage over time. I guess that's kind of like a leave Vercel and then start hating on skills kind of thing. But he's saying for 90% of skills, they're basically your existing docs with a small tweak to tell an agent how to do the op. An example of this is call this API endpoint to set a DNS record rather than press this button, which is correct. You want to use APIs as opposed to using, it's much more resource intensive to scaffold a website that an agent can interact with. And he says the reason skills worked is because they gave local search, discoverability, but those were solved problems already via Google. It's just no one has really solved search for agents. So instead we ended up with skills. And now when we look at the problems that exist with them, versioning, auto updating, I agree with this a lot. You just download a skill from a GitHub and it's like, I thought skills definitely made a lot more sense in the cloud. However, no one has really, but maybe there's an interesting idea there. But he said these are problems docs have already encountered and solved via, /v1 routes for your different docs. You get better discoverability and internal linking to pages. This is also interesting because the markdown files associated with skills don't. However, if you, or like an Obsidian type format, which can contain links and can effectively show pretty links, but also just make them for the agent. So just paste the link directly. I don't think there's anything negative with that, but obviously there is a lot more infrastructure that comes along with actual like HTML pages. He says where skills are nice is it gives people the ability to publish things like React best practices, which would have been just on a personal blog that'd be hard to find. So things like skill.sh, which is from Vercel, are a good discoverability perspective, but he's unconvinced that a scattered array of GitHub repos is the right long-term solution. Especially, I agree with this as well. It's like even this point at the end, it's like React already has a best practices documentation page. So I don't know why that really doesn't negate his point, but definitely interesting. We're still at the very early stages of these things, but skills are very cool. Obviously, Vercel did that study where they showed that if you use skills versus just putting all the context in Agents MD, so you have to keep that in mind as well when working with skills, is that you're kind of inherently like handicapping yourself just for kind of nicer optics or nicer ergonomics, but the industry is for sure going to evolve over the